on Haynes Avenue and Mountain View Road. You can simply check in online at bhucare.com. That's with the letter U, bhucare.com. When you need care, see the team at Black Hills Urgent Care, the faster way to get better.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker in Rapid City. Have you thought about buying your first home or maybe upgrading to a home that you will really love? Real estate is an important investment that you want to get right. I have been in the business of finding the right home for 15 years. To get started, contact me, David Brenneman, at 415-0044. Let's open the door to your new home and say hello to a goodbye with me, David Brenneman, at 415-0044.
No one has a handbook for what we're living through today, which is why the experience you have access to makes all the difference in how you make it to tomorrow. For decades, Dakota Bank has worked with ag producers through industry, economic, and regional changes. We're committed to agriculture. We're committed to the producers and families that make our communities great. Go with commitment, experience, and integrity. Dakota Bank, banking, insurance, mortgage, and trust. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Insurance and trust not FDIC insured.
Ever since Barron's Wilson Funeral Home first opened their doors in Rapid City 140 years ago, they have continued to make personal service their number one priority. In your time of grief, they offer a personal touch by being at your side through every step of the funeral process. They answer difficult questions and guide you toward other professional services you may need. See for yourself the wide variety of services they can provide for you by visiting their website at barronswilson.com.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City. This is the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
We are Fox Sports!
And here's what you need to know.
Draymond Green's tiff with former teammate Kevin Durant has long been blamed for Durant's leaving the Warriors for the Nets, but the two sat down for a talk on the Chips series, and KD revealed it wasn't the argument itself that was the cause, but rather management's mishandling of the situation.
Steve Kerr act like it didn't happen. Bob Myers and tried to just discipline you and think that that would put the mask over everything. We had to get that all out. I don't think we did that, and we tried to dance around it. I just didn't like how all of that, just the vibe between all of that, it just made it weird to me.
Moving on to the NFL, quarterback Josh Rosen is now officially a free agent when unclaimed on waivers after being released by the 49ers on Tuesday. Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy says Dak Prescott likely won't play this weekend because of his shoulder issues, so Garrett Gilbert is expected to start against Houston. Bears rookie quarterback Justin Fields is now dealing with a groin injury, so Andy Dalton will start against Buffalo. I'm Deb Carson.
It's time for the only live and local sports talk show in the Black Hills. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, live interviews, and local sports. Exclusively on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City. And streaming online right now at foxsportsrapidcity.com. From the biggest national names to the hottest local stories, welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
Good Wednesday afternoon, checking in midweek. Thanks for being here. How was your day? Hopefully solid. A little cooler today. Some rain, I think, on the way. Thank goodness. We're back on a Wednesday from our downtown studio. We're live on Fox Sports Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station. The Nate Brown Show is live. South Dakota Sports Talk Show brought to you each day by Black Hills Urgent Care, where me and my family go to get better quicker. It's that easy. 2 locations in Rapid City. Remember, Black Hills Urgent Care, proudly owned by physicians on Haynes Avenue and in Bacon Park Westside, Mountain View Road. Open 7 days a week. Great, easy, convenient. If you need care, avoid the wait. Schedule online, bhucare.com with the letter U, bhucare.com. You can get right in at Black Hills Urgent Care, the faster way to get better. On the Wednesday show, we got a lot to discuss today. We're going to have a fun show. Fun show today. You can be a part of it. We'll invite you in. Let's look at the guest lineup as we get going. Gary Sharp's going to join us from Omaha, Nebraska. Checking in with Gary Sharp, one of our favorites, 1620 The Zone in Omaha. with Husker Reaction today. Imagine that. So Gary Sharp's on tap. Gabe Lax is in, Major League Baseball writer, live from Nationals Park. We got him from Nationals Park tonight. Gabe Lax, National Major League Baseball writer, USA Today, on the way. Our old friend is back on, former South Dakota high school sports writer. Now he's over with the Indy Star in Indianapolis. Brian Henson checks in, and he's got a unique perspective on a topic we're going to hit on a lot today when it comes to high school football in South Dakota. Brian Henson, in his new state of Indiana, they do something so interesting. Hank Henson is in today, former Sioux Falls Argus leader writer. He's with the Indy Star. He's on the way. National college football writer John Bryce drops by, footballscoop.com. John's always great. And Sioux Falls Roosevelt head football coach, former Rapid City Central head football coach. He knows both sides of the state. He's back for another season as head coach of the Rough Riders. Kim Nelson checks in live from Sioux Falls. They lost just over 30 players. You know, they've had over 100 in that program. They're down to 70, right around 70. Sioux Falls Jefferson kind of adding to that mix, right? Balancing the power, potentially, in Sioux Falls for high school football. Kim Nelson live, Sioux Falls Roosevelt head coach. We'll talk a lot about the season coming up with him. 720-1067 is our number. You can check in, join the program, and the conversation on the Boss Pizzeria and Sports Bar, Sportsline Live. Your number, 720-1067. Now you know that. And the Barron's Wilson text line, open and ready. Direct text the show, 720-1067. We'll have a question of the day coming up, a lot to get to. I actually am going to release this today. I talked the last couple of days about the competitive balance formula that I believe could be used for high school football, moving teams up if they have won a lot, and I have that formula. We put it together. Producer of the Nate Brown Show, Matt Kearney, hard at work this afternoon, putting the numbers together. Who has won what over the last 2 years? Where should our high school football teams be playing if we had this competitive balance formula? I'll get to that on tap. First things first. Nebraska is under NCAA investigation with their football program. Okay? This came out from Brett McMurphy. I reached out to Brett, shot a few texts back and forth. He's the guy that broke the story. He's with the Action Network now, longtime college football writer. So this news got to Brett McMurphy. He wasn't able to make it on tonight. We'll see if we can track him down tomorrow. But Brett McMurphy reported it. Unidentified sources reporting that Nebraska has video footage of a couple of things here. A couple of analysts who are not on that 10 full-time on-field position group. So you get 10 full-time on-field assistant coaches, and supposedly there were some analysts. These are kind of like consultants / analysts. A lot of programs have them, but they can't be interacting with the players. They're supposed to be providing guidance from the outside. Supposedly, there's video footage that these analysts were involved in practice. So that's one thing. Which is off limits according to the NCAA. The other thing is, from the NCAA investigation, the report is they moved workouts off campus this last year when those workouts and activities like that, team activities, were banned during the pandemic. Okay? So that's how this scenario goes. A couple of things, if you haven't heard it, if you haven't looked into it, that's the Cliff Notes. Bill Moose was there before. We're going to get into a little situation with him and Scott Frost here potentially. So there's like 3 things with the Husker football program that came out today. We'll get to the Bill Moose, Scott Frost situation. But as of now, Trev Alberts is there, new athletic director. He said today he didn't know about this investigation until he got there, until he got hired. Hey, Trev, we have this going on as well. It dates back to before Trev got there, this investigation. Scott Frost said he's not going to talk anymore about it. He did what his authorities and people in charge there in the administration allowed him to do. Okay? Here's Scott Frost today. Everything we did through COVID was in the best interest and health of our players. And everything we did was approved by the athletic department administration and campus administration. So Scott Frost saying, we didn't do anything secretive to avoid detection here. We did things, and athletic department administration would be Bill Moose or somebody else high up in the athletic department, and the campus administration, according to Scott Frost. So Scott Frost and Trev Alberts, just a short little press conference this afternoon after practice. They didn't shed a lot of light on it. They said they can't speak on an ongoing investigation. So now you just have to determine, okay, here's the situation. Did they improperly use consultants/analysts as full-time coaches? Which you can't do. Did they do that? Did Scott Frost do that up front? Okay. Then, did Scott Frost help or move workouts off campus, or is this going to be a strength coach situation? Did they move things off campus? So there's going to be some moving parts to the end of this story, as you know how these NCAA investigations work. So I'm going to give you my early reaction to this. Early reaction. There's the report. There's the investigation. It's going to continue. What's going to happen? That's one question. What's going to happen? What do you think? I'm gonna give you my early reaction. I don't think much. The national media, this is the number one headline on ESPN.com right now. It's been that way the whole day. Number one headline on ESPN right now is Scott Frost and the Huskers being investigated. And, you have to click on it, and then I just gave you the breakdown of the two things. Okay, I'm not going to say that they potentially didn't break rules, but I am going to tell you the national media has a tendency these days to pile on the Huskers at this time. They like piling on the Huskers. The national media, oh, the Huskers did this. Oh, Scott Frost is struggling. Oh, this, oh, that. So they're ready with the overreaction. I even see this as they're going as far as saying this might be the one thing that gets Scott Frost fired. This might be the out for the administration and the new AD, Trev Alberts, that might get Scott Frost fired. That's ludicrous. I'm here to tell you, this is not going to be a huge deal. These are minor infractions. The national media wants it to be kind of a bigger deal. Scott Frost won't be fired over it. This is going to be here today, gone in a few weeks. I do believe that. Whether Scott Frost wins or not, they won't let him go through this piece. Thanks for calling. You're live, and you go ahead.
Come on. Soap operas are on during the day. This is the 4 o'clock. It's the afternoon, son. Time to move on.
What do you got? What do you got here?
What do I got, Nate? I've been in our top secret workout.
Oh.
We had to move from North Russia. Them Russians didn't like it when I played Reveille and taps.
Oh.
Every day with the American flag shining. But let me get back to this coaching football thing.
Oh, okay.
All right. Oh, I believe it was around 1988. A team of Rangers, 11 of them, flies over into Panama. We're going after General Noriega. I stick my head out of the door as a jump master, and I see thousands, Nate, thousands. All right, there's only supposed to be a little resistance. I'm counting like 3,000-4,000 soldiers is what it turned out to be. Just imagine, Nate, if I look at the guys and go, oh, man, there's too many of them big guys. Let's go back and try and find somebody else we can beat up on because we're not good enough to play.
Oh,
imagine,
you're talking
Nate.
about teams moving up and down. You're talking about...
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you don't
By
want teams...
God, grab your gonads, son, and move along. Let's fight it.
Okay, hang on. You don't want Watertown and Aberdeen Central to move down in this moral of the story.
You know, and I tell everybody I know from Aberdeen and Watertown, I go, you know, you guys should turn in your man cards and just start sitting on the toilet.
Oh, boy.
If that was the case, how come Stevenson Central ain't playing Douglas, Tommy Moore, Lee, Deadwood?
Well, I understand. Yeah, Central and Stevens have struggled. They have. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand that. By the way, no reaction to the Huskers under investigation? Are you with me?
Nate, you know what? It's just like you guys. Oh, we got to make it more fair.
Oh, come on.
Nate, I've been in a little combat in my time. It was never fair.
All right. I don't know what that has to do with the Huskers.
We jumped into Grenada at 400 foot, son. We were getting shot at. We didn't even have reserve chutes on. Okay, when we jumped into Panama, I ain't lying, but there was 11 of us and thousands of them.
I know.
But you know what, Nate? We strapped on, and we completed our mission.
You better believe it. You better believe it. And I appreciate that.
Sydney,
you know
Montana.
that.
I'll go to your home state,
Oh.
Nate. Sydney, Montana. Population 5,000. You know who's got the wrestling program in Montana, Nate?
They're pretty good,
The
I hear.
best in the state? Sydney, Montana. Imagine them old boys from Montana there, Sydney, going, oh, we can't go to Kalispell. They're too big for us.
Yeah, by the way, and Sydney's not even 5,000 anymore. Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying.
No, they're tough, Nate. I think that's the toughest town in Montana, son.
Well, I don't know about that. Okay, I got
yeah,
you.
let's take a ride up there. We'll see.
All
Hey,
right,
my buddy
buddy.
Nate says you guys are sissies.
Not quite. I'll leave that to you. All right, buddy. Thanks for getting in. Thanks for calling today. Good to have you on. Okay, we're on track on a Wednesday. We are on track on a Wednesday. Let me just throw this out. Here's what people were saying about the Huskers today. Here's what I see. This is a national college football writer. Scott Frost's contract, if he were to be fired without cause, requires a $20 million buyout if done January 1st, 2022. So if he has a terrible season and they want to get rid of Scott Frost, Nebraska's going to have to pay $20 million. So that national writer said, this investigation is the one that could help that out. Then you don't have to pay the buyout. I do not believe they're even going to go down this road. Maybe I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Nobody knows that, but I've been wrong before. They won't even go down this road. The reaction here early, Huskers, #1 headline, under investigation, using analysts and consultants, potentially in practice. That's the problem with the NCAA. They're not 10 full-time on-field assistants. You can't interact with players. And then moving the workouts off campus. You know why I say I don't think much will happen? There is a little example here. Arizona State, just 2 months ago, Arizona State football being investigated, something similar, bringing recruits on campus, giving tours under the radar during the COVID restrictions. That was a big no-no from the NCAA. You couldn't do that with recruits. And the reporting over the last couple of months, Arizona State was doing that with incoming recruits. They didn't want to get behind. They wanted to keep recruits coming in, bringing them on campus who went under the radar. And everybody said Herm Edwards is going to be in big trouble at Arizona State. Herm Edwards is going to be in big trouble. Where's Herm today? He's getting ready for the first game. I mean, there was an assistant or two that have been placed on administrative leave. And by the way, the two analysts, so to speak, in this situation with Nebraska, they're not there. They're gone. A special teams analyst and a chief of staff. Those two guys are gone at Nebraska now, anyway. So the Huskers kind of knew what was going on here. Well, we may have a problem there. Let's get these guys down the road, and let's see if we can survive that. Arizona State had the similar situation. Oh, Herm Edwards. I had a guy come on the show and say, this might be the thing that takes Herm Edwards down, bringing in recruits during the restricted time secretly, and this might take him down. It's not going to. And the same story is going to be said about Nebraska. National media jumps quickly. I believe they jump quickly, especially with the Huskers, especially with Scott Frost lately, because they're looking to hit him. And they may have messed up some situations here, made some mistakes. Not a good look, because the Huskers just need to dial it in and get after it. They need to dial it in and get after it, not have these distractions and this mistake and that mistake. You don't want it, but it will not derail Scott Frost and help Nebraska get rid of him without the buyout. That's just taking it too far. We'll come back with some reaction. Gary Sharp's on the way, 1620 The Zone in Omaha. I want to know if my take is close or if maybe a little hot water for Scott Frost. We'll see. Gary Sharp on the ground next.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, streaming live at FoxSportsRapidCity.com and right here on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM Fox Sports Rapid City.
Dusty Tuckness. He's the GOAT, the greatest bullfighter of all time. Dusty can't just wing it. He trains, he prepares. He's real smart and real tough. At Renewal by Anderson, we honor people like Dusty Tuckness, good people who do great things. Renewal by Anderson is proud to sponsor Dusty Tuckness, the greatest of all time, the GOAT, who would never put up with any bull.
At Terrell Tires in the Speed Center, we let our customers do the talking.
Very well-maintained tire and speed shop, over-the-top service, and very reasonably priced. Need I say more?
Scott and crew at Terrell Tires have always gone over and beyond for us. Great prices for great tires. Also, anytime we've needed odd-sized tires for ranch equipment, Scott gets us what we need.
Great customer service. Spent plenty of time answering all of our questions, and the truck looks awesome with the new rims.
Terrell Tires in the Speed Center, 105 North Campbell Street, Rapid City.
Corey's Point S Tire and Auto Service, we have the highest customer service standards in the business. Why? Because your safety is what matters most to us. But don't take our word for it. Listen to what our customers have to say.
I never have to wonder if the repairs or services were done correctly.
The best. #1 in customer service.
Outstanding customer service and top-notch vehicle service and repairs.
For quality auto service you can trust, choose Corey's Point S Tire and Auto Service. There's no stress with Point S.
Black Hills Community Bank wants you to know that now may be the best time to refinance, purchase, or even build a brand new home. With rates this low, Black Hills Community Bank is well positioned to be your local partner. They are your home loans bank with local originators underwriting, processing, and closings. They challenge themselves to close every loan on time. This may be the time to think about home ownership or refinancing with Black Hills Community Bank in Rapid City and Spearfish. Online at bhcbank.com. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Hey Black Hills, Boss Pizza and Chicken is now bringing you the best new sports bar in Rapid City. Grab your crew and check out the new Boss Pizzeria and Sports Bar on North LaCrosse Street. Same great pizza, chicken, and food you love from Boss, and now a full-service bar with beer, wine, and liquor. Boss Pizzeria and Sports Bar is a newly remodeled sports bar with TVs all around and a sports ticker dedicated to local and regional sports. This is the place for sports fans in the Black Hills. The new Boss Pizzeria and Sports Bar in North LaCrosse and Rapid City. They're open early and open really late. Also with delivery at BossPizzaandChicken.com.
The bakers of Country Hearth and Village Hearth Breads are proud to support local education with Loaves for Learning, the program that makes it easy to earn money for your school. Enjoy Country Hearth and Village Hearth all-natural breads, buns, bagels, and more, then save the UPC from the package for your school to collect and redeem. Each is worth 5 cents and can be used for books, computers, sports, music, whatever your school needs, up to $10,000 a year. Learn more at loavesforlearning.com. Country Hearth and Village Hearth Breads, baking our best for you.
Here's good news from Pro Auto Care if you're looking to economize your budget. Pro Auto Care can help you get more time and mileage out of your vehicle with regular maintenance and sensible, affordable repairs. Tom and his Pro Auto Care team will save you a lot of money without you having to replace your current vehicle. At Pro Auto Care, they find and repair small, inexpensive issues before they become big, expensive problems. Schedule an inspection of your vehicle now at Pro Auto Care. Open for business as usual at 1891 Rand Road, Rapid City.
Broadcasting from the Anytime Auto Sales, Service, and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and side-by-sides. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Welcome back in South Dakota Sports Talk Show. We are packed on a Wednesday across the board. Just packed with great guests across the board. High school football, college football, Major League Baseball, and Huskers. Oh, come on. Everybody loves talking Huskers, right? Everybody loves talking Huskers, including Gary Sharp here on the Nate Brown Show. Gary Sharp live on Fox Sports Rapid City. Gary Sharp has his own show each morning on 1620 The Zone in Omaha. He's the boots on the ground in Omaha. He's the guy with his ear to the ground. Gary Sharp 1620. That's the Twitter handle there, at Gary Sharp 1620. Gary, it's good to get you back on. How are you?
Good, Nate. You know what? It's never a dull moment covering this football program, and we knew that something was going to happen because it's been really quiet in camp, 10 days away from the season. But I wasn't on my bingo card. This morning was not what I had.
Okay, so this comes out. I just started my show with it. I gave everybody the breakdown of the reporting from the Action Network and Brett McMurphy that a couple of things here. Potentially improperly using analysts / consultants during practices and interacting with players. And then the other side is, did they have workouts when you weren't supposed to, team activities led by staff off campus to avoid detection? And so there's the two things. The national media is really rolling. I was looking through it today, and a lot of the guys, well, this is it. This is going to be the thing that could get rid of Frost. I think that's a way overreaction. That's my assessment. Where are you at?
Well, right now, there are minor violations. I'm not somebody, Nate, that says, well, if everybody's doing it, it makes it okay. The analyst part and being involved in all those are rules. But there are more programs that use analysts that they find a way to help out players. It was wrong. I don't think Nebraska was hiding it, that they were using their analyst from last year on special teams and that he was on the field and he was interacting and he was the special teams coach. He was just listed as an analyst. And they have video of all of that, and why wouldn't you? You videotape every game, you videotape every practice. My question on that aspect is, very few people have access to that video. How did that video get in the hands of the NCAA that started an investigation? So with that said, that in the NCAA rule book is a minor violation. It's happened at a UTEP, it's happened at Michigan, places that violate how many days they practice, those little things where it becomes a self-imposed, negotiate with the NCAA, our coach will be suspended for a couple of days or we'll adjust what we're doing. The NCAA says, okay. The part that really got me was what was happening with these away from the facility workouts that you didn't want non-football staff to discover. Because, you know, Scott had a hard time, I think, with the whole COVID and when is Nebraska going to play? When is the Big Ten going to play? We got to be ready. Nebraska actually brought their team back really, really early last summer. It was around June. And I know that they had a lot of organized team workouts that were run by captains, and they would either be in the team facility or they would have to go to a location in Lincoln to work out. And a lot of teams did that, but they were players only. If they find out that coaches were spearheading this, coaches were observing, strength and conditioning coaches, then that's where I get a little bit uncomfortable. That remains to be seen. But through it all, it's just another bad optic for a football program that can't have bad optics. You're 12-20, and you've had a really good camp. It has been a good camp around here where guys feel good about the season, ready for a football game 10 days from now, and then this comes up. But I think when Scott said today, and I agree with him, will it be a distraction? Probably not, because this has been known internally, apparently, for a while, and they've still been able to have a really good camp. But it brings up a lot of questions, and it's the last thing that Scott needs going into a pretty pivotal season.
Okay, do you think the national media has overreacted because it's Scott Frost in Nebraska? They've been kind of a target ever since the Big Ten shut down and Nebraska put up a fight, and everybody kind of turned on the Huskers.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Nate. Scott's a punching bag because of his passion for wanting to play last year and the fact he was supposed to be the savior and it hasn't worked out. And then you have another thing like this on your ledger, whether it be severe or not, people are going to come after you. And I'm not surprised. I've seen the same reaction. I've gotten the same reaction. We've actually talked to Brett McMurphy. And when you're in a situation and you're Nebraska and you're struggling and you have something like this come up, and then, the side little chuckle is, if you're going to do something improper, man, you should make sure that you're winning. I think Pat Jones, the old Oklahoma State coach, said, if you aren't cheating, if you aren't winning and you're cheating, then you ain't trying. So, it's just one of those things. It's just another thing for Nebraska to have to battle. And then also part of Brett's story was he regurgitated the thing that drove all of us nuts, and I think you and I talked about it. It was when Nebraska tried to get out of the Oklahoma game last spring.
That is something I wanted to get to, because that's the third leg of this story. Gary Sharp's on 1620 The Zone in Omaha talking Huskers. The third leg of this is, okay, here's some reporting from The Athletic saying Bill Moose, former AD, said Scott Frost kind of wanted to build momentum for this program and didn't really want to play that Oklahoma game, wanted to get another home date early for recruiting. That was from Bill Moose. And then Scott Frost said today, I didn't make a call about our schedule. That's not my job. Who do we believe here?
Well, it did happen. Scott Frost, along with his director of football operations, they were trying to find a way to get out of that Oklahoma game, and they were doing it on their own, and they did not bring their athletic director into the conversation. And one thing led to another, and ironically, Brett McMurphy reported that story first back in the spring, and then Bill Moose has to respond, and he has to take the bullet for the athletic program, put an egg on their face, and I really think that was kind of the start of, all right, Bill Moose, now ex-athletic director, is moving out the door. It's one of those things that, I'm not sure what's going through his head. Is there somebody there for some checks and balances to say, hey, I know you want to do this, but man, we can't do this. We should not be doing this. I don't see that, and that's a problem. But here's what I observed today, Nate, and I'm not sure if you had a chance. I know you're busy getting ready for your show. They put out a statement about 10:15 this morning, and it was typical responding to NCAA allegations, two-sentence release. About 15 minutes later, because Nebraska was practicing today, remember, they're 10 days away from starting their season. So there was media availability in the horde of Nebraska football media, which can be in the upper 40s of people that cover Nebraska on a daily basis. They're all assembled. Well, here comes the athletic director, and it's like when your dad took you to go apologize to someone after you did something wrong. It's like Trev Alberts, the dad, pulled the kid, Scott Frost, in front of the cameras, and they talked about it. They talked about, okay, this is what we can say, this is what we can't say, but we want to get out in front of it, and we want to not hide behind a release. We want to discuss this with you and explain some things that we can. I think that was a pretty important moment if you're looking at the relationship between the athletic director and head football coach, because Trev basically said today, all right, I'm the leader, the buck stops here, there's a new sheriff in town, we're going to do it this way. It's not football and then the athletic department. This is all of us together. It's kind of a united front. But I can tell you, I know Trev, and I've heard him say this, and even to me, here's some of my rules. Don't embarrass yourself, don't embarrass us, and we're good.
Interesting, and the body language for Scott wasn't great. I mean, it is what it is. People can say, oh, don't look into that too much. I did see that as Scott and Trev Alberts talked. What did you think of that body language of Scott, or is that just him?
Well, it's a little bit him, but it's also, Scott's kind of defiant. Scott can be very stubborn. I think Scott, in his mind, doesn't think he did anything wrong, but he's had to get legal counsel, and we wonder how long this has been going on, Nate. It predated Trev taking over the job. I know Trev said he didn't find out until he took the job. I think that's some wordsmithing. I think during the interview process, it probably was brought up to him, and then once he accepts the job and is in the job, they explain it a little bit more. Not to the level he goes, oh, no, are we going on probation? I'm not going to take this job. I think Scott right now, he's fighting it. He's never had like the back against the wall, your back on the ground. He's always kind of been out in front. He's been a winner. Well, this is going to test him because people are, looking at him. He's got a bullseye, but he also thinks he has a really good football team this year, and this is the year to turn it around. Well, now it's just ramped up the anticipation for that game in 10 days. But Nebraska has to win. I called it a one-game season. Nebraska has to win. But I don't think this will distract guys that play the game and put on the helmets. It'll just be another thing that swirls outside the program.
Gary Sharp's on 1620 The Zone in Omaha. His show, Gary Sharp in the Morning on 1620. You alluded to this, Gary. I want to get to this. You said, hey, how did this stuff kind of get out? The video, some of this reporting, obviously some unidentified sources got it to Brett McMurphy as well on the backside. You alluded to, why did that happen? That's telling me, are there some Scott Frost folks in there that aren't Scott Frost folks?
Well, you had two guys, one being the analyst, Jonathan Rutledge, got fired in January. Now, special teams were awful, Nate, as you saw. That was, I think, pretty much performance-based. And then just recently, his director of football operations, Jared Lambrick, who was working the Oklahoma thing with Scott, he stepped down to pursue other opportunities. And here's somebody who has been with Scott. They were best of friends growing up. They worked together in Central Florida. They've been side by side here in Nebraska. You start, when something like this happens, you wonder, okay, who leaked this? Who's out to get me? Was it somebody that left the program recently that was a player? I mean, those things go through your head, and it makes you wonder, what's going on? Who can I trust? It would be an uncomfortable thing, I think, for all of us if somebody did something that to you. But then you have to say, okay, why did they do it to us? What do we fix? I think that's where the next step is for Nebraska. And I think that's where Trev Alberts is in a great role here from the standpoint of his beliefs and what he stands for, is we have to figure out why you did this, and then what are we going to do moving forward? And I think that's happened sooner than later.
When it's all said and done, I still believe after this whole thing goes that Scott Frost is really just untouched by it, and there may be this from the NCAA or that. I don't think anything major, and Scott Frost's contract isn't a concern. That's my read.
No, I think you're right, Nate. I firmly believe that barring an absolute, the bottom falling out on the field this year, or more stuff that brings a black eye, Scott's still going to be the football coach here. So I think they've learned from this, or they've been, hey, you can't do this with the analysts being involved. They hired Bill Bush in the offseason, who was at LSU and who's been at Nebraska before, and he is a special teams guru. But he's not an on-field guy. He's an analyst. And the times that the practices have been open, Bill Bush has been there, but Bill Bush has been on the sidelines. He's not working with the special teams like Jonathan Rutledge last year. And remember, people couldn't go see practice last year, so you could kind of do whatever you wanted. I think that's something that Nebraska has said, or somebody has said, you got to knock that off because we don't see Bill Bush working hand in hand. There's restrictions on what analysts can do. You can work with them up in the video room and that kind of stuff, but on field you can't do it. We'll see if Nebraska's learned their lesson. I think the program moves forward on the field, but this is just another thing that if somebody is using it against Scott and his resume that's 12-20, this is just another notch to say, man, you're over your head. This isn't going to work out.
Yeah, that is right. I mean, and the national media is a part of that. Here's another thing that Scott Frost isn't doing well. That's what it felt like to me. Even though mistakes potentially were made here, it sounds like. Gary Sharp on today, 1620 The Zone in Omaha. He's on Twitter at Gary Sharp 1620. Always good, man. Thanks for the time.
Nate, as always, I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you. Gary Sharp, 1620 The Zone, live in Omaha on Twitter at Gary Sharp 1620. I was kind of interested in the little bit of dust up there between Bill Moose, former athletic director, and Scott Frost of who said what about trying to move that Oklahoma game this year. That I'm kind of interested in that because that's the war back and forth right here today. Bill Moose reacting to the Athletic saying, Bill Moose, the former AD, said, well, Scott Frost wanted to move that game and build momentum for the program here and get another game at home early for recruiting and that whole thing. And Scott Frost came out this afternoon in the press conference and said, I didn't make any call to anybody. I don't do the schedule. That's not my job. Interesting stuff from Gary, his reaction on that. And people saying, okay, who doesn't want to play Oklahoma? And that was another little hit on Nebraska's image or reputation, if you want to say that, they don't want to play Oklahoma. It'll be a tough game. I do know that. But you just got to suck it up. You just got to try and get this thing right between the running lights here. And, the Huskers, just a little bit of issue here and issue there. That just gives more people ammunition to hit Scott Frost. And that's the thing is I haven't hit Scott hardly at all. I don't hit Nebraska. I'm actually wanting to see how well Scott does, and Nebraska can get this going a little bit. That's good for college football, in my opinion, if the Huskers can get going. But, boy, it's drip, 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 hit after minor hit as it is. It just adds up to try and get Scott Frost in another category. And the national media loves hitting the Huskers lately. Coming right back on the Nate Brown Show with Gabe Lax, Major League Baseball writer, live from Nationals Park, Washington, D.C. A reaction to a Major League Baseball owner calling out his players specifically today on Twitter. Do you like that? Is that fair? An owner of the team goes on Twitter and says, well, my guys stink, basically. I'll tell you what he said next.
From high school to college to the pros, this is the Nate Brown Show on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM Fox Sports Rapid City.
Dusty Tuckus. He's the GOAT, the greatest bullfighter of all time. Dusty can't just wing it. He trains, he prepares. He's real smart and real tough. At Renewal by Anderson, we honor people like Dusty Tuckus, good people who do great things. Renewal by Anderson is proud to sponsor Dusty Tuckness, the greatest of all time, the GOAT, who would never put up with any bull.
Hi, this is Britt Wickett at Elevate Performance. If you have an athlete in your family that is looking for sports training with proven results, Elevate Performance is ready to work with you. Our approach is different. We train one-on-one or in a small group, keeping the focus on your athlete, getting them to perform at their best. If your child is in middle school or high school, we have plenty of training options to fit your schedule. Take your game to the next level with Elevate Performance. To get your training started, visit elevateperformancesd.com.
If you have a Mercedes, Audi, Porsche, BMW, Volvo, or any other high-end import, you might think you have to take your car to Denver or further for service. Hi, this is Martin from Al's D&I Repair. Don't plan your life around taking your car for service in a town 400 miles away. Bring it to Al's D&I Repair. Our technicians are trained to work on those complicated cars, and we also have the tools and equipment so they have everything they need to make sure your car is working perfectly.
Call Al's D&I to set up your appointment at 348-1447.
Why is Taco John's new Valuist menu nothing like other value menus? Because it's the baconiest, steakiest, most deliciousest value menu ever. It's also the chicken bacon guac street tacoiest and the cheesy bacon ranch loaded potato oleiest for only $1, $2, or $3. And now try our new spicy steak and potato griller for $3, or our smooth cold brew coffee in vanilla or mocha for just $2. The new Valuist menu is better than the restest. Only at Taco John's. Download our app for exclusive deals.
It's Honda's Certified Dream Deal sales event. Up to an additional 2 years, 50,000 miles comprehensive warranty, plus certified Hondas come with 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain coverage, free oil changes your first year, and 24/7 roadside assistance. Plus, at Denny Menholtz Rushmore Honda, we buy cars. Vehicles are in high demand, and due to limited inventory, your vehicle has never been worth more. Stop by Denny Menholtz Rushmore Honda and either sell or trade today. Located off I-90 on East Small Drive in Rapid City.
Where can you get good neighbors service and surprisingly great insurance rates? At State Farm. I'm State Farm agent Matt McCormick, and I'm your one-stop shop in Rapid City for the service you deserve at the price you want. So stop looking around. State Farm agent Matt McCormick, I'm ready to help. Call 348-0464 for surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Broadcasting from the Anytime Auto Sales, Service, and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and side-by-sides. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Welcome back in. Your sports, your show, the Nate Brown Show, live on Fox Sports Rapid City. A lot to get to tonight, a lot to cover, including my high school football teams that would move up a class according to the competitive balance formula we have created here on Fox Sports Rapid City, based on some other states now, okay? We're just borrowing some other ideas. I've got some teams that should move up to play some bigger schools based on their success the last 2 years. I think this would work well. It's unbelievable. Matt Kearney, the producer of the Nate Brown Show, worked on this today. It works out seamlessly. I'll announce those teams. I want to break this down as we look to balance out competitiveness in high school football. Right now, too many classes and too many blowouts. It's just not good in certain classes. We'll get to it. Let's go to Major League Baseball. Gabe Lax at Nationals Park, and he's in today. Wow, Major League Baseball writer at usatoday.com, where I go. Find him on Twitter at Gabe Lax. Gabe, it's good to get you on. How are you?
Please hang up.
Oh, I lost him. Oh, you're kidding me. I had him, and I lost him. He must have hung up on me. We shall see. We shall see if we can get him back. I mean, Gabe is my right-hand guy, so let's see if we can get him back. I think we're going to get him back. Gabe Lax, do I have you back? I think you're ready. Are you ready?
You best believe, Nate. How you doing?
Okay, all right. We're good. We're clean. I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you coming on. I want to ask you about something that's happened here today. New York Mets owner, Steve Cohen. He's active on Twitter. He's more active than most. And he goes on Twitter and says, it's hard to understand how professional hitters can be this unproductive. The slugging and OPS numbers don't lie. Calling out his own players. What's the reaction around the league on this?
Yeah, not great. I don't think. I mean, I think it's a really not a great look to call out your players like this, especially when they're in a stretch of going to the West Coast against some teams that can really pitch the ball. They play the Dodgers in New York, but the point remains. We're talking 6 straight games against the Dodgers and Giants, who pitch the ball better than almost any team in the league, and so it's not really a mystery that the Mets lineup, which truly isn't that great, and which his people that he chose to kind of keep on put together. So I mean, it's not like they're not trying, and I think it's just a really bad look for him to kind of do that at this time. I mean, last thing you want to do in this game is panic, and this guy is coming in and panicking, and it really just kind of seems like a rookie move from an owner who kind of comes off a little amateurish in this, I think.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, what is Major League Baseball's kind of view of Steve Cohen? New to the game, new to the Mets. What do you think the overall view of Steve Cohen is in the league before this Twitter statement?
Well, I think they're worried that he's going to come in and spend too much money. That's all they care about, is to maintain what they believe are roles that teams should play. And the Mets have the capability to spend a lot of money, not just because he's worth billions and billions of dollars, but they one of those teams in a massive market that has their own TV network and could pretty reasonably carry a $200 million payroll every year and not think twice about it. So, I don't think MLB cares as long as the guy doesn't go out there and become, a modern-day George Steinbrenner. So,
Let me ask you.
Go ahead.
He went. So Steve Cohen went on Twitter and said this about his players. I can't believe professional hitters can be this unproductive. The Yankees owners had a press conference and they kind of said, "Hey, our players need to play better." They kind of did the same thing. What's the difference here?
I think the difference is that the Yankees were a really good team and are a really good team and were underperforming. The Mets, I don't know. Did anybody really expect them to be much better than 500? I think pretty much everybody had them pegged for third place in the NL East, and they're in third place in the NL East, and they're right around 500, and probably overperformed for a while, whereas the Yankees, really underperforming for a good portion of the year, particularly offensively, and now they're coming up to the level that we kind of expected. So I think, I think contextually, it was sort of the right thing to do for the Yankee ownership to do. Not that I I think it has any real effect. I mean, the game is cyclical. So as much as these kind of owners and their egos would like to think that they can go in and have a material effect on things by saying some words or floating some things in the press or whatever, it's bottom line is, you are as good as your talent, generally speaking. So, I think it was fair of the Yankees to do that at this point in time. At that point in time, it's just, you get the sense of this owner bailing out and kind of saying it's not my fault. It's the players, whose paychecks I signed.
Do you think that can ruffle some feathers? Last one on this, Steve Cohen, Mets owner, calling out the players on Twitter. Is that going to ruffle some feathers?
Maybe, but I mean, what are you going to do, right? I mean, if you're less than 6 years of service time, you're stuck with being a Met. And if you're a free agent, you're going to go wherever the best offer is. So I don't think it'll really affect things too much. It just might kind of make people wary of what he'll say. But I don't think it'll materially impact the players they have or the players that they might get, so long as he continues to put a lot of zeros at the end of his contract offers.
Gabe Laxon, Major League Baseball writer, USA Today, here on the Nate Brown Show. I'm going to go to this story. Former Twins great Jack Morris. He's been an analyst for the Twins. He's been an analyst for the Tigers. He's now the Detroit Tigers analyst. Last night was describing what the Tigers should do when they're pitching to Shohei Ohtani, and he described it. Apparently, it sounded like an Asian accent to me, and he's now been suspended indefinitely by Bally Sports Detroit. It just seems concerning that Ohtani, the face of baseball, an unbelievable talent right now, thrown into another situation here that's potentially negative.
Yeah, it almost makes you wonder if we deserve Shohei Ohtani. The guy conducts himself with nothing but class and dignity, and is obviously a phenomenally talented baseball player. And yet, he can't seem to go more than a few weeks without somebody saying something stupid about him or appearing to mock him. It's unfortunate, and I hope he can just go about his business and continue being a great and very fun baseball player to watch without this stuff affecting him too much. But if it exposes what is wrong with us societally, then so be it. It's just a shame that he kind of has to bear that burden as the guy who's always seems to be the subject of these kind of situations on that end of things.
Gabe, you're in the game and you cover it every day. What are fans going to think, even casual sports fans? What are they going to think about Shohei Ohtani this season? The pitcher, the hitter. Are we going to think about Ohtani's season, or this thing with Stephen A. Smith, he should speak English, this thing with Jack Morris last night?
Oh, I think it'll be the player. It's the kind of thing we dwell on in the media because it happens within the media. So I think for the average fan it'll be different, especially when you look up at the end of the year and you look at the numbers he's about to post that are truly just unprecedented, and especially in the era in which he plays. So that, I think ultimately, that's going to carry the day, and that's going to be the lasting impression of Shohei Ohtani 2021.
Last one for you. Lowest crowd ever in the history of the Tampa Bay Rays last night. 4,795 people. We get bigger crowds in Rapid City, South Dakota, Gabe, than that right there. That's the lowest crowd ever for a Rays game at the Trop. What are the Rays going to do in 3 years?
That's a really good question. Go wherever somebody will build them a stadium, I guess. Are
they gone?
I really do.
Are they gone?
I do think it'll work in. I do think it would work in Tampa if they were able to get a stadium on that end of things. I think this kind of pie in the sky thing of halfway moving to Montreal is pretty ridiculous. I don't think it's really feasible or fair to fans or players. So, I think it's 2027 that they ultimately have to either re-up or move on. And, it's, right now there is no landing place, but that could change quickly. The question is which municipality is going to give up hundreds of millions of dollars because it's clear that Stuart Sternberg is going to foot very much of the bill on his own. So, it's an open question, and you could say the highest bidder is if the highest bidder is out there, you could probably have yourself a big league team.
I'm going to ask you one quick one because every baseball guy's giving me a different answer. Why do the Rays have a problem? I hear the Trop's terrible. I hear it's the fan base. I hear the city. It's a bad location. What is the problem with 4,700 fans going to a Major League game with the team in first place?
I would say it's 80% location. I mean, it really is a tough place to get to, especially from where the majority of your population is coming from. So, you know, I actually like going to ball games there. It's not the greatest facility. It's not going to wow you, but it is climate controlled. The crack of the bat sounds great in there. Obviously, the team is pretty charismatic. So, yeah, I think they could make it happen if they could get the stadium where their fan base is. But right now, it's just, you know, the cost-benefit ratio of getting in your car and sitting in that traffic is just tough to do. And then once you get out of the habit of not going, then you know, the die is cast, and it's I think a lot less likelier that you're going to come back.
Gabe Lax on tonight, Major League Baseball writer. The coverage really good with him and his team, usatoday.com. Gabe, thanks for checking in. I always appreciate it.
Hey, you got it, Nate. Thank you, man.
Appreciate the time. Gabe Lax, Major League Baseball writer, USA Today, here on the Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Rapid City. Some Major League Baseball headlines, some bad ones, and yeah, well, I mean, I guess all three aren't great. The Rays draw the lowest crowd ever, and one of our listeners drew me in on this last night, saying the crowd on Monday was the smallest at 5,460 people watching the number one team in the AL East. They had the smallest crowd Monday, and then they set another record last night. 4,795 fans going to watch. The lowest crowd ever watching the Rays. I mean, just wild. They win, and nobody watches them. Gabe Lax says 80% that location, St. Petersburg. And I don't know the whole layout down there. I haven't been to that ballpark. I've heard from listeners on this show that have actually been to the ballpark. They didn't love the ballpark. But there's people in Florida saying, you got to drive across here, and it's an hour, and it's an hour and a half. And I'm sitting here in South Dakota going, you wouldn't drive an hour for a Major League Baseball game? Well, that's just me, but it's a little different, right? They're used to, I can go here, there, and it doesn't take forever. So Gabe Lax kind of pointing to that 80% problem is the location. He says it's not necessarily the ballpark. The situation with the New York Mets, that's interesting to me. Steve Cohen can spend a lot of money, and he spent some money. They went after Javi Baez, who's been terrible for him, my cubby. Javi Baez just been terrible, hitting 174 for the Mets when he went over there. Now he's hurt. And the Mets are falling. Their team batting average ranks 23rd in baseball. 235 team batting average. That's not going to get it done if he thinks he's going to win the NL East. They've lost 5 straight. They fall below 500 for the first time since May. And Steve Cohen goes on Twitter, which, beautiful things happen on Twitter, don't they? It's just such a great place. That's the thing. It's like Steve Cohen's one of the few owners who even have a Twitter account. He's one of the few. And it's like, I mean, I believe people can have those and good things can happen from those. I know this for one. Okay, we have to do that. We promote, we do things. But I'm an owner of the New York Mets, and then I go on Twitter and I say, it's hard to understand how my professional hitters can be this unproductive. The best teams have a more disciplined approach. Steve, this isn't just study hall where you can say stuff about, this team and that team. I know that's your favorite team. You actually own them now. There's actually coaches coaching, players playing, managers managing. Take it easy. Take it easy, Steve. You make decisions for the strategic direction of the organization, and you make those decisions with the hope that the product on the field turns out well. If it's not, take a step back, make your changes behind closed doors, have the discussions there, not out on Twitter asking, it's hard to understand how hitters can be this unproductive. Okay. All right. Coming right back on the Nate Brown Show with Brian Henson. How about this? A Brian Henson sighting. on a Wednesday, a sleepy Wednesday. Brian Henson, former Argus leader, high school sports writer for Sioux Falls, right? Now he's in Indianapolis. He writes for the Indy Star. Why did I invite him on? His new state, Indiana, has the competitive formula that works so well for moving high school teams up a class, down a class, and the competitive balance that we would need. What does Brian think of that new model out there? He's on the way.
Your sports, your show. This is the Nate Brown Show on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
At Terrell Tires and the Speed Center, we let our customers do the talking.
Very well-maintained tire and speed shop, over-the-top service, and very reasonably priced. Need I say more?
Scott and crew at Terrell Tires have always gone over and beyond for us. Great prices for great tires. Also, anytime we've needed odd-sized tires for ranch equipment, Scott gets us what we need.
Great customer service. Spent plenty of time answering all of our questions, and the truck looks awesome with the new rims.
Terrell Tires and the Speed Center, 105 North Campbell Street, Rapid City.
Eglin Street, Rapid City.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Chance for scattered thunderstorms tonight, otherwise cloudy. Lows level off around 62. Winds out of the north 10 to 15 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 80. Overcast skies. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow night. Lows level off around 58. Cloudy skies. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 79.
Did you get hit with hail and not sure if you have any damage? Sing Contracting can help. Sing Contracting has openings right now to give you a free estimate on your roof, siding, and gutters. No project is too big or too small. They will do them all. Call Sing Contracting right now at 343-ROOF. That's 343-7663 or visit singcontracting.com.
My dad takes good care of me, and he'll take good care of you too. Call Sing for a free estimate for roofing, siding, and gutters.
Not all trusts fit in a box. We do our best to put the personal touch on each one and really listen to our customers and make sure that we take care of them the very best that we can.
We are going to apply the best of our knowledge and ability and care to really analyze our situation and find all the best solutions that we possibly can.
We customize what we do to what you need. Pioneer Bank and Trust is local.
Collins Siding has been the region's premier window siding, door, and gutter installation specialist since 1974. They use only the highest quality materials and never compromise on their workmanship. Collins Siding is licensed, bonded, and their estimates always include labor, materials, and applicable permits and taxes. Collins Siding has been providing top quality service and exceeding high standards for over 45 years, and you can find out how by visiting them at 2016 Cherry Avenue. Collins Siding, 2016 Cherry Avenue, Rapid City.
Broadcasting from the Anytime Auto Sales, Service, and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and side-by-sides. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Welcome back in the Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Rapid City. A lot of ways you can listen, though. 106.7 FM, 1150 AM on the radio side. Welcome in on YouTube. If you're watching there, The Nate Brown Show, you can find us, subscribe to the channel. Would appreciate that, so you can watch us on YouTube, live in studio camera, The Nate Brown Show, and on Twitter. Easy to do there on your phone. Bring us up at Nate Brown Show on Twitter. Watch the live show there. On a Wednesday, we're packed tonight. Kim Nelson's coming up, former Rapid City Central head coach. You remember Coach Nelson back in the day? Now he's been out in Sioux Falls for a long time, head coach at Sioux Falls Roosevelt. He's about 30 guys or more down from last year's team. Why? Sioux Falls Jefferson. There's a little school called Sioux Falls Jefferson. Took some of those players, and including one of the quarterbacks, Talon Ashley. Kim Nelson, Sioux Falls Roosevelt head football coach. He's on the way. I'm hearing if he runs the football this year, they might dominate. That's what I'm hearing. So we'll get Coach Nelson coming up. John Bryce is on the way, national college football writer for Football Scoop with Scott Frost and Husker Reaction today. Brian Henson's in right now. You bet. He's back. No. He's not back in South Dakota. He's back on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. I'll tell you, his new state fits what I'm talking about this week. They've got a competitive balance formula in high school sports where they move up teams, reclassify teams based on past success through a reclassifying period. And so I said, hey, Brian Henson, he's now the preps writer for the Indy Star, live from Indianapolis, and he's here on the Nate Brown Show. Brian, it's good to have you. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. It's great to be back with you, man. Let me tell you.
Okay, let me ask you this. Best thing about Indianapolis so far?
Oh, that's a good question.
Tough question.
Honestly, it is a tough question. It's really nice being around a big metro area again, and having some different things to do, more restaurants and some different stores to go to that I kind of missed having, back growing up in St. Louis. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, having an NFL team in town is really awesome. The Colts, I got to cover Big Ten Media Day out here, and I've gotten to cover an IU football practice, Indiana University. So there's been some cool things about moving out here to Indiana, but I'm missing South Dakota a little bit. I won't lie.
Okay. It sounds like you've just been working. I mean, you got to go do some fun things, man. It sounds like you've just been working. Yeah. Okay, let me get into this. I want to get your read on this because I'm talking about it this week. I don't know how much people are going to think this is right or not, but I believe the football classes here in South Dakota are a mess. You and I have talked about it a lot. The 7 football classes, and we were 1 vote away from going down to 5 and couldn't quite get there. And then it just turned into here's 7 classes again, but Aberdeen and Watertown are going to move down because they haven't had success. So I said, hang on a second. Are we going to start talking about competitive factors now, moving teams up and down? Well, no, not necessarily, but I think we should. And Indiana does. You saw this before you even went out there. Do you get the feel? You've only been out there a while. Does it work, moving teams up based on a 2-year period of success, and you get a point system for how far you've gone in the playoffs?
It seems to, but I think it's a little bit of a different dynamic here just because of the number of schools, I think, and the way that the population is distributed. I think that's why it works, just because even if you have a smaller school, there might be a smaller school in a really big area where they're able to pull a lot of talented kids, and therefore they're able to succeed a little bit more at those team sports. But it sure seems to be effective, and there's some situations that remind me of like O'Gorman playing up with the big schools where it may be a smaller school that's punching up with the big boys and having a lot of success, not only in football but across all sports. And like you mentioned, I mean, when this whole classification stuff was ramping up and making all of us want to put our heads through a brick wall last summer, that was one of the possibilities that was kind of floated out there cryptically.
Yeah, just a little
maybe
bit.
Maybe we get creative and we do something like Indiana. I think it's a really interesting concept. I think you'd have to tweak a little bit to make it work for South Dakota, but I mean, why not? Why not give it a try? And who knows how big of an effect it would have. You'd still need enrollment to be something of like a baseline. Indiana still uses enrollment to get teams slotted into classes. But, yeah, I mean, why not? And it'd be interesting to see how it works. And obviously the playoff system here is a lot more complicated. But, again, you make some tweaks to South Dakota, and you can make it fit the population distribution, I think, in South Dakota. And, heck, we're right back where we started, so why not try something totally off the wall and see if it fits? And it's too bad that we can use this 1-year cycle, or you guys can use this 1-year cycle right now to figure that out or try something like that.
It's interesting. So I want to ask you this. You talked to a lot of coaches when you were here. I'm going to do a poll. I mean, we're going to kind of look at this, and because I've heard some feedback that, no, I think this is realistic. I think this is possible. How many of the coaches do you think would get behind a competitive factor situation of, hey, some teams that have won 4 straight state titles, maybe they should move up? You think coaches overall would support it?
I think that there would probably be a majority, just because if your team's good, you probably like the opportunity to challenge, especially if your team's going to be good for the foreseeable future. Why wouldn't you want to challenge and punch up? If your team's not as good, you probably don't want it as much, or you probably do want it just as much, because then you get rid of the teams that are dominating your classification. You want to open some things up. What becomes really interesting is for those teams in the middle where it's like, okay, well, we're going to be good for, let's say that it's 2 years, they calculate the points. We're going to be really good, championship contenders for these 2 years, but then that group of juniors and seniors graduate, and we're going to cycle back down, and we're going to be rebuilding as we're moving up a class.
Right.
And I think that that's where the big complication comes in, because let's just pick a school. Let's just say West Central is really good for 2 years. They have a great junior, senior class going in there now. They win state back-to-back years, and suddenly they're getting pushed up a class just as that group of guys leaves, and they're trying to rebuild against the big boys in 11 AA. They're trying to rebuild against Pierre, Brookings, et cetera. So that's where it becomes
but
a
it
little
happens,
more complicated.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that can happen, though, and I believe success builds on success. And so you say, okay, challenge yourself. And by the way, it's just a 2-year cycle, and if it doesn't work out, maybe you can move back down. I want to know, that's the hard part for me. I like a point system. Hey, I make the quarterfinals, I make the semis, I make a state championship, I get so many points. You average it over 2 years, and a certain point threshold, you move up. That's what Indiana does. That's where you're at. The problem is, what if I don't get any wins? What if I get 1, 2, 3 wins? I wonder if teams like moving down.
Yeah, that's then you give them the option to stay up if they want to, just based on enrollment, where it's like, okay, if you're slotted as an 11A team, you can't go down to 11B, or, AA, you can't go down to 11A. You get what I mean? So you set a floor. And then if your team's struggling at that bigger level and you have the option to move down and try and rebuild, give them the option to do that. And maybe that's overcomplicating things. You need to make more black and white. Yes, you have to move down, or no, you have to move down if you don't get X number of points or succeed and win this many games. But I think there's some opportunities. And like you said, I mean, we've exhausted it seems like we've exhausted every other option out there. So why not try something off the wall and something different and just see how it goes?
It sounds it sounds like you agree with me. I've come to this result. Enrollment does not tell you if you have a good football team. It used to.
Not.
Back in the day, we'd have a big enrollment. Oh, most of these kids play football. They're going to be pretty good. Guess what? That was back in my day. Now, this kid's playing this sport. This kid's playing soccer. This kid's not even playing sports. It's different today. And a male enrollment doesn't tell you that you're going to have a good football team at that school.
No, but it's not a hard and fast enrollment doesn't matter either. And I'm not saying that's what you are saying, but enrollment should factor in there somehow. But I think that you can also factor in the success factor, and and I think that would help maybe with some of the smaller classes, and even at the 9-man ranks, it'd be interesting to see how that goes with teams moving up and down. But
it's interesting.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, how did O'Gorman win a state championship the other year? They're the smallest school in 11 AAA, for gosh sake. How does West Central, name a team, some of these dynasties that we've seen, how do they succeed? They don't have the enrollment as much as some of the other schools. How did Pierre hang with Roosevelt a few years ago in a regular season game? Obviously, that's not to the magnitude of the success that like an O'Gorman had in winning a championship, but come on. And, Rapid City Central has huge enrollment, but that doesn't mean that they're successful and competitive every year. Same for Stevens. I think that enrollment is used too much as a crutch in South Dakota at times. And gosh, it's really frustrating, especially just looking at it now where there's so many classes, and 9B is just so watered down because everybody, the traditional powers have all moved up, and it's just what are you doing here? And we've had this discussion before, but it's crazy. 7
classes of football in South Dakota, and I want to ask Brian Henson before I let him run, Indy Star Preps writer. Keep an eye on Indiana for me, the scene out there in high school football. I just kind of wonder what it's like, private school, public school. A lot of states I talk to writers in, they say, these public schools want the private schools out of here. They don't even really want to compete against them. Some states don't even allow them to compete. How's the scene out there?
That's a great question. I'm going to sort of dive into it. It doesn't seem like there's that dynamic, at least as far as I can tell, between the private and public, but I'm still sort of diving into everything. But no, the big thing out here is transfers and kids jumping schools and getting their appeals approved and all that sort of thing. That's been a really hairy issue out here that everybody's been grappling with. Yeah, and it seems like maybe there's a little bit of a willy-nilliness when it comes to the application of the rules and how it works in some cases and not in others. So I think that's been sort of the bigger issue overall since I've gotten out here.
By the way, Brian, that's been back-to-back days that I've heard one of the number one issues in high school sports is transfers. I had an Alabama writer on last night. I have you on from Indiana. Both states, he said in Alabama, our number one issue, all these transfers. Back and forth, going to this school, going to that school, and everybody getting fired up. Interesting. Brian Henson on tonight. Indy Star, high school sports writer, in his new place and getting after it. Brian, good stuff, man. Thanks for the time.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks for having me on.
All right, good luck to you. We'll stay in touch. Brian Henson on from Indiana, which they have a competitive balance formula for moving teams up. If they've made the semis, made the state championship, a 2-year cycle, they get a point system. It's not subjective. It's actually performance measured, okay? You actually have metrics. It's not a committee saying, I think T's really good in 11A, so let's move them up. No, you got to base it on numbers. Brian Henson on from the Indy Star, former Argus leader, Sioux Falls high school sports writer. So basing it on the numbers, let's do that. Matt Kearney, the producer of the Nate Brown Show, helped in a big way on this. We were talking about it. We said, okay, if South Dakota used a competitive balance formula, not just enrollment, what teams would move up to play the big schools? What mid-tier teams would move up to play the Yanktons and Mitchells and teams like that? So we've got the breakout, AAA, AA, Class A. Which teams would be on the move based on a competitive balance point system over the last 2 years? I love how this division breaks out. Next.
You're listening to the Nate Brown Show. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Nate Brown Show and like us on Facebook by searching Fox Sports Rapid City.
Build your future at Ainsworth Benning Construction. We're looking for general construction workers, carpenters, concrete finishers, construction superintendents, and project managers. In addition to rewarding work surrounded by the beautiful Black Hills and great benefits such as paid holidays, 401k, and medical, you can also receive up to a $1,000 sign-on bonus. Enjoy a safe and family-friendly work environment, as well as an atmosphere that promotes professional development. Apply at AinsworthBenning.com, positively impacting lives by building community. Ainsworth Benning is an equal opportunity employer.
The 2021 Hard Rocker football season is coming. Feel the excitement of Game Day Saturday in Rapid City with fellow Hard Rocker fans and alumni this fall. You can be there for every home game when you purchase football season tickets that begin at just $60, with season tickets still available for Ramp A, B, and C spaces. Hi, this is Tom Rudebush, the voice of the Hard Rockers. Coach Charlie Floor and the Hard Rockers are on the rise, and you can be there for the exciting schedule of Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference opponents for a season you won't want to miss. Get your Hard Rocker season tickets today at GoRockers.com.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City. This is the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
We're all going somewhere. Going higher, faster, farther. Going in new directions, to new places. At Monument Health, we keep going so you can keep going. We're dedicated to advanced orthopedic care with the latest innovations, technology, expertise, and treatment. So keep exploring, keep making memories, keep going with Monument Health as your partner. Learn more at monument.health/orthopedics.
All right, it's summer in the Black Hills, and if you're looking for the best place to have a cold one with the best selection, the number one place in Rapid City is Pour 54 downtown. This is my new favorite spot, with 54 taps of craft beer from South Dakota and regional breweries, plus cider, wine, and hard seltzer. Pour 54 has 3 levels with a great sports area upstairs. With Detroit-style pizza and great appetizers, there's just no place like it in Rapid City. You gotta hit Pour 54 downtown at 615 Main Street.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker in Rapid City. If you considered selling your current home, let me take you to that next step with confidence. The Black Hills housing market is competitive, and I have been in the business of attracting buyers for 15 years. Let's make it happen. Contact me, David Brenneman, at 415-0044. List it, sell it, and move on. With me, David Brenneman, at 415-0044.
Hi, this is Dan Patrick. Remember to catch me weekday mornings from 7 until 10 a.m. right here on 106.7 FM and 1150 a.m. Fox Sports Rapid City. And now, back to Rapid City's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
Hey, welcome back in on a Wednesday. The Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Rapid City, and the drive at 5 for you. How you doing? Solid day, I hope so. Thanks for checking in. The drive at 5, you're out the door, and it's brought to you by Summit Automotive Group, summitautogrp.com. Start there and take a look at the lot. Great selection, summitautogrp.com. Summit Automotive Group. John Bryce is coming up, national college football writer for Football Scoop. He's on the way. Okay. Kim Nelson's in tonight. Sioux Falls Roosevelt head football coach, former Rapid City Central head coach, and now out at Roosevelt. Kim Nelson on the way. I'm going to ask Kim Nelson, what do you think? Should there be a competitive balance formula It's not that hard, guys. If I can do it, it's not it's not that hard. I didn't do well at math. I made it up to calculus. Is that good enough? Okay. That's good enough for me. I didn't need a lot of math. I just know the numbers, okay? I know numbers. I don't need to know geometry and trigonometry and, I did this competitive balance formula based on other states. There's not that many states that do it, but more states are getting on it. Alabama, Indiana, a competitive balance formula to move teams up to play against each other that are having success, and it's not solely based on enrollment. That's not working here in South Dakota. The enrollment situation is not working. Sioux Falls O'Gorman won not so long ago. Sioux Falls O'Gorman won the state title not so long ago. They have 260 kids, 260 males in their ADM. Roosevelt's over 1,000. Okay? I mean, it's just not the number one factor. So you got to say, if you have a program that's been rolling, you've been building it, it feeds on it. And I'm telling you, you're not going to see a huge drop-off. I think those programs should be challenged against better teams, and we can make it better for the kids playing instead of having teams just blow the doors off of other teams that are way, way different from a competitive level. I mean, people say, is it about winning and losing, Nate? No, it's really not. It's about the overall experience for the Spearfishes or the Sturgises or whoever you want to say going up against teams that just blow their doors off 100-0, literally. So I think it would work. Let me get into this. So we did some work here at Fox Sports Rapid City today. We don't work too hard, but we did some work on this. And just over the last 2 years, if you applied this point system to the high school football teams, we found the teams that would move up over the last 2 years to try at the next level. And here's the point system. 1 point for a quarterfinal appearance in the playoffs, 2 points for a semifinal appearance, 4 points for a state championship appearance. So you add up those averages over the 2 years, and if you're over 4 points average, you're moving up. Okay? So there's the Nate Brown Show math, and our trusty mathematician, Matt Kearney, of the Nate Brown Show, did the math, and he lined it out just like this. Who would move up from 11 AA to play the big boys, to play the Roosevelts and Washingtons, okay? Who would move up into 11 AAA football based on the last 2 years' success? Pierre, Brookings, and Huron. You wouldn't have too much of a problem, would you? You wouldn't have. We'll see. We'll see. It's just a 2-year cycle. I would love to see if Pierre would battle Sioux Falls O'Gorman, Sioux Falls Washington, Sioux Falls Roosevelt. I would love to see those battle. Brookings had a really nice team last year. Really nice team last year. Pierre and Brookings played in the state championship the last 2 years in a row. I think their programs are doing pretty well. Huron might be a tough go. We'll see. They made the semis the last 2 years as well. So that's who would move up. Pierre, Brookings, Huron. Any big problem? That would put 12 teams in AAA football. A perfect number. How about AA then? How about AA? Here's the teams that would move up into 11 AA based over the last 2 years. Canton, West Central, T area, which they're already going, by the way, to AA. T area would be there. And Lennox. That would put 15 total teams in AA football. A nice number. A really nice number. 12 in AAA, 15 in AA. So you'd have Canton and T playing the likes of Mitchell and Sturgis and Yankton. Lennox playing a Spearfish. West Central playing a Douglas. I like that. I love that. Okay, those are the teams in AA. And how about Class A, 11A? So you'd go from 11B to 11A. Who would we add in the 11A ranks? Take them out of B. They've won a lot. Let's put them up to 11A. Not a huge jump, but could be significant. Here are the teams. Winner, Bridgewater Emory-Ethan, Sioux Valley, Mobridge Pollock, and McCook Central Montrose out East River. So you're talking about some 11B teams that have been right in the mix, deep in the playoffs, and Winner, a state champion year after year. Bridgewater, Emory-Eaton in the state title game. There's the teams in 11A. How many teams total? How many? Would it just blow the doors off? 20 teams total. 20. Is that hard? That's not that hard. I just gave, there's the model. There's the 1 point, 2 points, 4 points. Last 2 years, look at it. People say, oh, it could devastate a program and they might not have good classes coming up. Let's just see if West Central can compete against Sturgis. Let's just see. I think that's a better matchup than Sturgis against Aberdeen Central. Just a guess. 20 teams total in Class A, 15 in AA, 12 in AAA. Just an example of the competitive balance formula, an easy one to implement. Not subjective from a committee saying move here, move there, move this team, move that team. A formula that produces results that gives programs an opportunity to compete at a higher level and gives other programs an opportunity to build up and maybe compete with teams more on their equal footing. And the numbers just played out. I mean, we did manipulate those numbers. 12 AAA, 15 AA, 20 in A. I'm with it. We didn't get into the 9-man. That's the scenario where you're going to have to change the number of teams. We're not going to be able to have 3 9-man classes. You're going to have to look at a scenario. You're going to have to go to 2. You're going to have to go to 2 and potentially a 6-man scenario for the smallest communities. We haven't gone the 9-man route. The 11-man route spells it out pretty good. Pierre, Brookings, and Huron would take a shot for 2 years against the big dogs. And then we'd see, can Pierre roll with some of the big dogs? Might be a challenge. I don't think they'd get blown out. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Coming right back with John Bryce, college football writer, Football Scoop. Reaction to the Huskers today by the national media. I think it's been a little over the top, but what's John have to say next?
The Nate Brown Show.
Dusty Tuckness. He's the GOAT, the greatest bullfighter of all time. Dusty can't just wing it. He trains, he prepares. He's real smart and real tough. At Renewal by Andersen, we honor people like Dusty Tuckness, good people who do great things. Renewal by Andersen is proud to sponsor Dusty Tuckness, the greatest of all time, the GOAT, who would never put up with any bull.
Your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Chance for scattered thunderstorms tonight, otherwise cloudy. Lows level off around 62. Winds out of the north 10 to 15 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 80. Overcast skies. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow night. Lows level off around 58. Cloudy skies. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 77.
Physical therapy, athletic training, and sports science all at one place. Physio in Rapid City. Dr. Dan Jensen and his team at Physio are ready to help you perform at your best. From the youth athlete to the active adult, trust the team at Physio. Physio offers the skilled, personalized approach to physical therapy and athletic training, building the best athletes in the Black Hills as the official strength and conditioning provider for Stevens, Central, and the Rapid City Rush. Learn more at bhphysio.com.
Hi folks, Kevin McPherson, McPherson Auction Company. The Chambers Estate online-only auction closes Wednesday, August 18th, 6 p.m. Now on the auction we have several rifles, shotguns, ammo. There's a gun safe, there's household items, collectibles, horse tack. The items are all located at the house, 4776 Ridgecrest Court, south of the Arrowhead Club. Turn south on Sheridan Lake Road to Somerset. Go to Ridgecrest. Final preview today from 3 to 5. For more details, go to McPhersonAuction.com.
The bakers of Village Hearth are proud to introduce their latest additions to their family of fine bread products. Pennsylvania Dutch Potato Rolls. Baked the old-fashioned way using quality ingredients like real potatoes and honey. Their unique recipe makes these the most moist and flavorful buns around, just like homemade. So once you've grilled your hot dogs, burgers, or brats to perfection, no ordinary roll will do. Finish them off with a Village Hearth Pennsylvania Dutch Potato Roll. Village Hearth, baked fresh locally.
Broadcasting from the Anytime Auto Sales, Service, and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and side-by-sides. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Hey, welcome back in South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Just packed tonight. A lot of fun tonight. Interesting content. I appreciate you checking in. Some great guests across the board. If you missed the show live, we're live weekdays 4 to 6. If you miss us live, you can listen on demand when you can. It's easy to do. The Nate Brown Show podcast. Good feedback on that. I appreciate that. People sending in messages. Hey, I got tied up at work, but I checked the podcast. So we appreciate that. You can get the Nate Brown Show podcast wherever you get your podcasts. It's easy to do. Download it. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. It's all there. And you can find it easy there at foxsportsrapidcity.com, the Nate Brown Show archives. Check the podcast tonight if you missed some of the show today. We talked Huskers to start the show, and I want to dip back in that with a national writer who's covered a lot of football. The Huskers are under NCAA investigation. Couple of things. Improperly using analysts / consultants interacting with players and at practices. You can't do that. You have 10 full-time on-field assistants. That's it. So the NCAA says, well, what's going on with the analyst consultants? Is there video footage of these guys and the practice violations? So that's one thing. And then the other one is COVID did not allow teams in the Big Ten to have activities, workout activities. That's the other thing. Did the Huskers move workouts off campus to avoid detection? Scott Frost said he did everything in the best interest of the athletes, and it was approved by the athletic department administration and campus administration. That's what Scott Frost just said today. What's going to happen here? John Bryce is in, national college football writer, footballscoop.com, site I go to every day. Find him on Twitter at John D. Bryce1. John, thanks for coming on. How are you?
Nate, it's always good to join you, buddy. And I must say that as it pertains to your podcast, my wife is training for a marathon, and so she has become a frequent downloader of your podcast.
I like it.
Sunday morning training runs. So,
wow.
I told her I can drive 26 miles. I don't need to run it, but
I'm with
I do admire her tenacity in that
with
regard.
You.
I think that Nebraska may receive some minimal punishment out of this. I think it's a black eye for a program that, frankly, is full of black eyes right now because it hasn't remotely come close to returning to its glory levels the way it thought it would when it snagged Scott Frost away from UCF after he generated that undefeated season for the Knights in 2017. It's just bizarre timing for it to leak right now when the NCAA has never been more toothless. And so some things, just probably three quick things that stand out to me are, yes, it's very much a bad PR look for Nebraska. It's odd timing for me, especially in light of where the NCAA is right now and how much it has on its plate. And the fact of the matter that the NCAA is merely trying to survive and figure out what iteration of itself is going to survive into the future. And then the third thing for me that I think is maybe the most damning for Nebraska people in all of it is the fact that Trev Alberts candidly said today he had no knowledge of this when they hired him in the middle of last month, and yet the investigation predates his hiring. So I think that shows you some pretty poor leadership at the University of Nebraska, in my opinion. Some really feckless leadership at the University of Nebraska to not tell a guy that is one of your own, your family, not just that you hired him from Nebraska Omaha, but the fact that this guy was one of your all-time best players during some of your best runs, and you don't tell him this before he gets hired.
It's interesting. The whole thing is interesting. I'm with you, John. I mean, you've covered the game a long time, so you say, well, maybe some minor penalties here. I believe some of the national media really reacts to Scott Frost in Nebraska as of late as, well, here's another bad thing for Nebraska. Nebraska just keeps on getting hit here. And I guess you're a part of the national media, but you're fair. Why do you think Scott Frost and the Huskers kind of are in that category for people to jump on him in a hurry? That's the way it feels around here.
Yeah, you're right. It's funny you say that because right before the show, I just had some friends still back in Tennessee text me and asking about why do XYZ still hate Tennessee, and it was pertaining to the fact that Tennessee has had to announce Georgia, the University of Georgia, as its homecoming opponent this year, and that the Vols can't sell out of tickets for that game. And I think it's very similar. I think, honestly, that Nebraska and Tennessee are on extremely parallel tracks right now, and they both face incredibly tough roads to get back. I think it's a little tougher road for Nebraska, but I also think it speaks to the fact there's still a lot of value in the Nebraska brand. It still moves the needle. Look, if Nebraska didn't move the needle, nobody would be talking about this story today. And as much as I like visiting with you, Nate, you probably wouldn't have reached out to me today if Nebraska didn't move the needle. And so I think, again, it speaks to the staying power of Nebraska as it pertains to college football through the years. And I think that maybe is part of why folks feel that way. But I just think that Nebraska faces a brutal climb ahead. It has come much slower than I expected under Scott Frost. I still remember that coaching cycle when Nebraska was hiring him away from UCF, and there were some big-time programs that also had interest in Scott Frost, and they did not have a chance to get him. It was signed, sealed, and delivered that he was going to go rescue his alma mater.
Yeah.
And it just isn't that he has not been able to do that. It's that it's been hard to see consistent progress. And, it doesn't help today. It's a minor thing, big picture, but it doesn't help the narrative, especially for Nebraska fans, when the day this news breaks, you also have a backup offensive lineman going into the transfer portal. And much like Tennessee, you've had a number of Nebraska players that have gone into the transfer portal the past couple of years. Nobody has had as many as the University of Tennessee. It's far and away the most in Power 5 football, but both programs have had quite a few players leave, and so that just contributes to the narrative. It's low-hanging fruit. I would like to think I'm not a lazy sports writer, but I think there are more than a few lazy sports pundits out there who go after the lowest hanging fruit, and today Nebraska is low-hanging fruit. I don't think that look, I believe everybody took COVID very seriously because everybody wanted desperately to play a season last year when it relates to the Power 5 teams, especially Nebraska was a leader in wanting to play a season when Kevin Warren really looked out of his depth. And I think that Kevin Warren being out of his depth is probably why you're seeing the Big Ten positioned well behind the ACC and the SEC right now, but still in better shape than the Big 12. So, again, a number of things contribute to that for Nebraska. It is some low-hanging fruit. Nebraska did try to lead as it pertained to playing a season in the midst of COVID. And I think probably some people want to take some shots at them because of that.
Yeah, that's right. That's the way it felt last year, and now it comes out right before this season, this investigation. And I guess an NCAA investigation is what it is. Some people say, well, if this was Georgia, you wouldn't hear about it. If it was Nick Saban in Alabama, you wouldn't hear about it. I still think you would. I just don't think they'd get smacked quite as hard. Is that fair?
I think it's too early to know how much those teams are, or how much Nebraska might get smacked. But I can assure you that if Alabama or Georgia had a report come out today that program had allegedly violated, especially rules regarding gathering for practices and workouts in the midst of a pandemic, that they would be getting hammered.
Yes,
frankly,
I believe that.
If it was Alabama, that would be your lead story on SportsCenter tonight or on Fox Sports 1. More so, Nebraska is going to get mentioned on those programs. But if you're talking about Nick Saban's baby, then you're talking about that suddenly being the lead story and not just a story. So,
yeah, I believe that, John. I believe that.
If people didn't care about Nebraska, it wouldn't be a story. And I'm curious to know how many of these other programs potentially violated. Look, I can tell you this. Basically, every program in America violates the analyst quality control coaching rule literally every single day. Every single day. I see it. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it for years at SEC practices. I've seen it all over the country. And I wonder how much deregulation we'll see in that regard as college football continues to push more towards, in my opinion, an NFL model. Like we discussed one of our last visits, Nate, a Super 70, a Super 80. I think you'll see some deregulation as it pertains to coaches and what they're allowed to do on the field. And so that one, to me, is an absolute nothing burger.
And that's what my last guest said, too, was, hey, well, moving the workouts off campus to avoid detection, that whole thing, that might be a bit of a problem But it's not going to be as big of a problem as some national media, John, have said, well, this could be it. This could be Scott Frost's last stand. They wouldn't have to pay the buyout if they fire him for cause because of an NCAA violation. I don't buy that at all. But what do you say?
I don't buy that. I don't think that's best for Nebraska. And I would tell people who are gleefully looking at that situation to just, again, glance at a very similar program in the University of Tennessee and see what they're going through, because not only did they announce an NCAA investigation last December, January, but they had their chancellor come out and publicly admit, we found ourselves more than 50 level 1 recruiting violations under Jeremy Pruitt. That's why we're firing him. Well, now, depending on who you talk to, Tennessee may be circling around trying to do a little bit of a cash settlement with Pruitt just to expedite things with their aggrieved former coach and to expedite the NCAA process. So I don't think that Nebraska needs to raise some money. Nebraska does have some financial problems. There's no question about that. But I don't see Nebraska with a former favorite son as its athletics director and a former favorite son as its head football coach wants anything but success for Scott Frost. His future hinges more than anything on what the Cornhuskers do on the field this year, starting August 28th against an Illinois team that feels like it's rejuvenated and going to play with a really physical approach and a really physical toughness under Brett Bielema.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's not an easy one, and I believe you on that. It's on the field where people are going to decide. If it's a total mess, then Scott might have a problem. And I mean total mess, 2 wins, 3 wins. That's not going to get it done. It's a hard schedule. We'll see. John Bryce is on it. We'll get you on soon, John. Always love talking to you. Thanks for coming on.
You got it, Nate. I may be passing through your city, so I'm counting on lunch with you.
All right, excellent. Safe travels when you do it. John Bryce, good stuff. College football writer, footballscoop.com. Footballscoop.com, live here on the Nate Brown Show. John Bryce in today. Reasonable. I mean, he's a good reporter. He's covered the game a long time. Reasonable. I mean, some of the national media today, it's just been out of control. Oh, this is it. This is it. He used analysts. They use analysts and consultants at practice. This is it. They had the workouts off campus. Yeah, that might be a problem. That might be a problem. I started the show with this. Arizona State had recruits coming to campus when you were outlawed of doing it. Arizona State was having recruits coming to campus under the radar, giving them tours and all this and that. Everyone said, oh, Herm Edwards, he's done at Arizona State. He's done. He's still there. They're going to be playing here next week. So this isn't going to be, Scott Frost, this is it. They don't have to pay the buyout, $20 million buyout. They don't have to pay it. This is it, the NCAA violation. No. He's fine. Okay? He's fine. Let's take a quick call. Thanks for getting in. You're live and you go ahead.
Hi, Nate. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. What's going on, Husker? What's going on?
Well, just to tag on to your former guest, or the guest you just had on, I've heard rumors today that there's already people talking about buying Scott Frost out.
Huh? You're saying this?
Well, not because of this, but in conjunction with some apparently off-the-field character issues that have surfaced recently with his wife and running around with other women and other things like that.
Whoa!
Public intoxication, things like that. I've heard people talking about it, and so...
Are you falling out of favor with Scott?
Well, I'm just telling you, that's what I hear. That, obviously this is a crucial season, and, depending on maybe what happens with this investigation and whatever penalties are come down, and then depending on how he does,
that's the key. That's the key to me, is depending on how he does. It really is the key. That's what I believe.
That's right. I've heard, obviously, they're looking very seriously at the Iowa State coach, trying to possibly get him to come over, especially with what's happening with the Big 12, basically breaking up with Oklahoma and Texas leaving. Obviously, that's going to put that Big 12 conference in really a state of flux. And so
you gotta keep in touch with me. Your unidentified sources. I need that. You gotta keep in touch with this. I want to call you Brett McMurphy number 2. Number 2.
So that's just what I've heard. Obviously,
all right.
The natives are restless down there with him anyway.
Yeah, and as soon as we win next week, I'm going to get a call from you. You're going to say, "Here we come. The Huskers are back." All right. All right.
I'm not going to go that far. I've learned the last 3 years to kind of button my lip a little.
That's good stuff. So have I. Right. So have I. Okay. I appreciate it. Thanks for getting in. Thanks for getting in. I appreciate that. Yes, I've learned over, I don't know how long I've done this show, going all the way back. We were in Billings. We've been here. I've learned to button my lip up, too. Not, I mainly learned that at home. But I learned coming right back with Kim Nelson. We got to do this. Kim Nelson, former Rapid City Central coach. He knows football here, and he knows football out in Sioux Falls. I love talking to him every year about this time, talking about his program at Sioux Falls Roosevelt. He's lost about 30 players. What's Roosevelt going to look like? I've heard they're still going to be darn good. Kim Nelson, the head coach of the Rough Riders, talking Sioux Falls football. We all know life's busy, and if you get sick, you can get behind pretty quick. That's where Black Hills Urgent Care comes in. No appointments needed, no long waits, just fast, affordable care to get you feeling better quicker. Black Hills Urgent Care has 2 locations in Rapid City on Haynes Avenue and Mountain View Road. You can simply check in online at bhucare.com. That's with the letter U, bhucare.com. When you need care, see the team at Black Hills Urgent Care, the faster way to get better.
Here at Pizza Ranch, we appreciate innovations in food delivery, like how the ancient Italians used to slingshot hot meals to hungry Romans on the go. And while we appreciate the creativity, it turned out to be, well, a little messy. So, we found a better way to bring you our legendary pizza, the country's best chicken, and our one-of-a-kind cactus bread. Just place your order online, on the phone, or on our app, and then pick it up or have it delivered right to your door. All nicely packaged in clean, sturdy, non-flying boxes. No catching necessary. Pizza Ranch.
No one has a handbook for what we're living through today, which is why the experience you have access to makes all the difference in how you make it to tomorrow. For decades, Dakota Bank has worked with ag producers through industry, economic, and regional changes. We're committed to agriculture. We're committed to the producers and families that make our communities great. Go with commitment, experience, and integrity. Dakota Bank, banking, insurance, mortgage, and trust. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Insurance and trust not FDIC insured.
Hello. Welcome, class of 1994. 25 years ago, an insidious and repugnant mistake was made. Phil Merkel was voted class brain.
What?
In driving by Phil's home tonight, I made a gruesome discovery. Phil did not use Renewal by Andersen for his replacement windows.
I don't see the big deal.
Oh, really? Everyone knows when you need replacement windows, you need Renewal by Andersen because they only do windows. They're experts, no subcontractors.
I didn't know that.
Shut up, Mr. Class Brain. And Renewal by Andersen uses Fibrex windows, keeping your home warm in winter, cool in summer.
Really, though? I had no idea.
Craig Guzinski knew. He used Renewal by Andersen, which proves that Class Brain should have been awarded to Craig Guzinski.
Wait, but you're Craig Guzinski.
Yes, I am, and I gratefully accept this award. Thank you.
For a perfect fit, call Renewal by Andersen of South Dakota, 605-593-5991.
Nate Brown here for Summit Automotive Group. If you dread the stress of shopping for a vehicle, you're going to love the way Summit makes it easy for you. At Summit Automotive, Stacy and Matt and their staff understand buying a vehicle is a big investment, so they listen to your needs first to help you find the vehicle and financing just right for you. And Summit Automotive offers a no-deductible warranty as well. Experience the friendly, stress-free shopping for yourself at Summit Automotive Group, Highway 44, just east of Campbell Street in Rapid City. Online at SummitAutomotiveGRP.com.
Broadcasting from the Anytime Auto Sales Service and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and side-by-sides. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Welcome back in. South Dakota Sports Talk Show, The Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Rapid City. 106.7 FM, 1150 AM. Also, your home for South Dakota high school football. And we've been making our way across every program here. We can't hit all schools, but we've been trying to do it in the Black Hills and out East River, from Pierre to Sioux Falls. And, of course, high school football coming back live, play-by-play. And we're excited to announce our new broadcast team, man. These guys are pros. Jerome Wickersham and Dean Gurr, the two-team broadcast crew, going to be your voice of South Dakota high school football all season long. Jerome Wickersham, Dean Gurr live debut Saturday afternoon. Get our first game of the season. The first 11-man game in the history of Rapid City Christian. The Comets take on Mount Vernon Plankinton. MVP, a little tough. That's a tough matchup for a first 11-man matchup. Rapid City Christian, Mount Vernon Plankinton with Jerome Wickersham and Dean Gurr live on Fox Sports Rapid City on Saturday. A 2 o'clock kickoff here. We're trying to track down Kim Nelson. I don't know if we're going to get it done. I talked to Kim earlier today. Said, hey, I'm just going to be walking off the practice field. And I think he just did walk off the practice field. He said it's going to be tight. You never know. Those coaches, they get going and they say, hey, do it one more time. Do that drill again. Do it again. And then Kim Nelson almost misses the interview. But I think now he doesn't miss it. I think I've got him. Head coach at Sioux Falls Roosevelt, Kim Nelson, live on the Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Rapid City. Coach, do I have you?
Yeah, just wait. I got to run one more play.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I believe that.
that.
See, I know how that goes.
But you're exactly right. I'm long-winded. I can't shut up, and that was the problem today again.
I know how that goes, Coach. I appreciate you coming on at the last minute. We got plenty of time. Let me ask you about your program right now. Here's the big question. People may not know. Sioux Falls Jefferson started up. I've talked to their head coach, Vince Benedetto, and he said, hey, we got some young guys, and we only have 2 seniors. And then I see your program, and I say, are you about 30 guys down from your numbers? How do you see it?
Yeah, we're down about 30. We lost 35 players from last year's group, but we had 105 last year, on the varsity team. So we're still right around 70. And our senior class, almost all of them stayed. Only those 2 guys went to Jefferson, 2 seniors over there. So we've got close to 30 seniors.
Okay.
They're good kids, and they've all been in the program for 4 years now. And we're going to start 5 seniors in the offensive line. We've got some senior running backs. We've got some senior linebackers and defensive linemen. So I think we're experienced where I want to be, right up the middle of the field. And so I'm pretty happy with that. Our biggest thing is we got 2 young quarterbacks that we're trying to bring along. Both sophomores didn't really play quarterback last year. So they're just good athletes that can do what we need them to do eventually. So it's going to be a learning curve for those guys. And we've already thrown out probably half of our playbook so that we can keep it simple for them and just try to execute with our seniors up front.
Okay, Kim Nelson on Sioux Falls Roosevelt, head football coach. I'm going to ask you this. Did you have discussions with players? Did you kind of have to say, hey, I want you guys sticking with me? I mean, when a new school pops up, I know there's boundaries and things, but it is open enrollment. Were you sad to see some of those players maybe head out?
Well, yeah, a little bit, but we couldn't talk to anybody. We had a kind of a school policy that we're not allowed to recruit players unless they're in our district or going to be in our new school district.
Okay.
And so anybody that had an address in the new school, the Jefferson School District, were off limits to us. All right. And so we really couldn't do any recruiting. We just kind of talked to the guys that were in our district, that were in the weight room, and just said, hey, guys, we just want you to stay. And if you stay, good things will happen. And fortunately, almost all of our seniors decided to stay for their last year. And so I'm kind of proud of that, and I'm kind of happy for that. And it's going to give us a chance to be very competitive, I think, all year long.
Coach, let me ask you, Kim Nelson's on, Sioux Falls Roosevelt head football coach. A couple more, and I'll let him run a preview of the Rough Riders. A lot of people expect you guys to be pretty good. Here's what one person said. If Coach Nelson can run the football and just run it, they're going to win the whole thing. But Coach likes spreading it out a little bit. What's your take?
Well, they're probably right. I've really had a hard time forcing myself to call run plays in practice. All right, I'll admit that right away. All right, but we do have the right people for that. We have an experienced offensive line. We've got 5 seniors there, and 3 of them are returning starters. We've got actually 4 of them, and we've got a real good experienced senior running back in Tyree Nave. We've got an outstanding junior running back in Nelson Wright. We've got some new receivers, but they're really good athletes, some kids off the track team that are going to play our other skill positions. So I really feel that offensively we have some talent. We got linebackers back from last year that played a lot. We've got defensive linemen back from last year, starters that played a lot. Our big question mark is at quarterback on offense, secondary on defense. But, you know, we're still, even though we lost a lot of kids, we're still a big school. We still have a lot of kids. We're going to find some athletes. So I feel good about where we are, and I really feel good about how good we might be by the end of the season. And, you know, we certainly can't afford any injuries at quarterback. But I think I gotta just keep preaching to myself. It's okay to hand it off.
3 yards in a cloud of dust. We're not used to that.
I'm hoping for maybe 4 yards in a cloud of dust or 5.
Okay.
But,
all right.
Yeah.
I'm interested in it. Roosevelt's powerful up front. That's what I've heard, and Coach Kim Nelson on. Here's the toughest question for you. I'm working on something here saying, hey, some states do competitive balance formulas to move teams around in classes. I've talked to you about football classification a lot, and you've been open about it. So I'm going to ask you, if you had a real point system based on postseason achievements in a 2-year cycle for teams, and you have so many points, you move up for 2 years. You see how it goes. If it doesn't go well, you move back down. Is there a possibility amongst coaches in the state to say, maybe we should just look at some competitive balance on top of enrollment, because enrollment sometimes doesn't tell the whole story?
It's a tough one, Nate. It's a really tough one, because when you look at some of the teams that have been successful in the last few years, their enrollment is not even close to the top of their class.
Right.
I think of Bridgewater Emory-Ethan. You know, if I remember right, last year they had 60-some boys in their high school, and they're state champs, or they're always in the finals. All right. Well, they're not even close to the top of their class.
Right.
You know, in enrollment. Is it right to move that team up just because they're able to get every kid in school out for football and teach them how to win? And I mean, I don't know if it's right to do that. You know, especially for public schools. It's so hard. In my opinion, it's really hard to get that right. I think it works in other states when there's a lot of teams, you know, like Minnesota and I think Michigan maybe did it, or Illinois, or, you know, where they got big cities like Chicago, Minneapolis, and they've got 30-some teams in their class or 60-some teams in their class. It's different then, because I think the teams that are in the next class down, their enrollment is still pretty close to the group that's above them. In our state, the problem I see with that idea is there's too much of a difference in numbers from the top of the class to the bottom. And we've looked at it before, you know, on the advisory committee, and it's really hard to picture, you know, if the bigger class, let's say the bigger schools in AA, maybe Pierre, well, they're not one of the bigger schools. I mean, they're like, I don't know,
middle
6 or 7.
Middle of range, yeah.
Middle, yeah. Okay, so if they keep winning state championships, should they move up to AAA? Boy, that's a tough one, because
I want to see them play you guys. They played you pretty well.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. And so there are times when it would work, okay? But I keep going back to that Bridgewater Emory-Ethan situation. You know, 60 kids in high school, and boy, moving up to play somebody with 100 and some kids in their high school, or 200 kids in their high school, and I just think that's really tough to do.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see a plan. I'd be willing to certainly look at a plan. I'm on the advisory committee, you know, and we're always willing to look at plans and ideas for that. I've seen it work in states where there's a lot of schools, and the population of the schools is, you know, maybe the top end of your class is 1,500, you know, and the best team in your class has got 1,000 kids. They're still, you know, pretty good sized school. But when you go from 250 down to 60, I think there's a big difference between those kind of schools.
That's interesting. I like having you on that football advisory committee. I'm going to go to one of those meetings. Can I get on one of those meetings?
I don't know. I think they're open.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. I'll check into that.
Send me a proposal.
All right.
Because we look at everything. Look at everything.
I'll look at that. I appreciate that. Coach,
Okay.
You're going to have a good team. I appreciate you taking the call and talking Sioux Falls Roosevelt football. Good luck to you.
Great. Thanks for having me on, Nate. I appreciate you waiting for me.
All right. Appreciate you coming on. Thanks a lot. Kim Nelson, always good to get him. He's a Rapid City guy as well, coached at Rapid City Central, and now has done an outstanding job. Sioux Falls Roosevelt's been a power, an absolute power. Interesting football discussion. He's a good football guy. Kim Nelson on the Football Advisory Committee of the Activities Association. Oh, there's my connection. He said, send me the proposal. I've got it right here. I've got it. We got it right here. Well, maybe I'll have Matt Kearney send the proposal. I don't know. We'll see. We'll make it work. Matt Kearney's the high school football expert around here. We're gonna send that proposal. Here's the teams in AAA, AA, and A. I just went over it on the program, right? I just went over it. Let's get this on a Wednesday. Who's hot and who's not, brought to you by the Pizza Ranch. Tonight's the night. It's dinner time. The buffet is a deal tonight. Kids night. One child 12 and under eats free for every regular priced adult at the Pizza Ranch buffet Wednesday tonight. Open till 8 on that buffet. Hit the Pizza Ranch, 2 locations. In my Who's Hot category, it's got to be the former Minnesota Twin. How about this? How about this guy's place in history? It kind of surprised me. Nelson Cruz. Twins traded him away to the Rays, right? Nelson Cruz hits 2 homers last night. He is now 42nd all-time in homers. Now you're going to say 42nd. Where does that put him? Right behind Jeff Bagwell and right in front of Vladimir Guerrero. Now that's something. Nelson Cruz right there with Jeff Bagwell and Vladimir Guerrero, 443 homers all time in my Who's Hot category. In my Who's Not tonight, this is an easy one. Who is going to make a bet on the Chiefs to have the worst record in the NFL? Anybody? Who would do that? Who's going to make a bet on the Chiefs? The Chiefs to have the worst record in the NFL. Some guy did. He bet $100. He took a $100 bill and said the Chiefs are going to have the fewest wins in the NFL. It's not going to win him any money, I'll guarantee you that. He's in my Who's Not category. But what will it win him if the Chiefs go in a tailspin? $100 to win $50,000. Boy, now I'm really rooting for the Broncos even more. That guy, $100, turn it into $50,000. I'm afraid it's a waste of money. $100 to win $50K, the Chiefs with the worst record. Keep an eye on that. Good luck with that $100. You should have bought me dinner instead. We're back tomorrow on the Nate Brown Show at